Hello, everyone. In this video, we delve into the captivating story of Bernie Madoff, a man whose actions profoundly affected the world of financial markets. In the upper echelons of Wall Street, he built a seemingly unshakable empire, attracting renowned investors with tantalizing promises of astronomical returns. But behind this glittering mask lay a much darker reality. Madoff's fraud rocked the financial world, revealing the fragility of systems and the blind trust placed in charismatic individuals. Discover the disturbing details of this financial tragedy, the poignant stories of the victims, and the reflection on the nature of trust and integrity in the business world. Bernie Madoff, whose full name is Bernard Lawrence Madoff, was born on April 29, 1938 in the modest neighborhoods of Queens, New York. Born into a working-class family, his father was a plumber and his mother an accountant. From an early age, Madoff witnessed the financial realities of his family, where every dollar was precious. Yet this never hindered his ambitions, quite the contrary. Driven by sheer determination and an insatiable thirst for success in the business world, he embarked on an unbridled quest for success. After graduating from high school, Madoff decided to continue his education at Hofstra University, graduating in 1960 with a degree in political science. But long before treading the halls of Wall Street, he pursued a profession that, at first glance, seemed disconnected from his future status as a renowned financial fraudster. He worked as a lifeguard on the beaches of Long Island. However, that same year, at the age of just 22, Bernie Madoff made a bold decision that would change the course of his life. Armed with unwavering determination and an unshakable entrepreneurial spirit, he decided to set up his own investment company, the notorious Bernard L. Madoff Investment Securities LLC. With a modest $5,000 in his pocket, the fruit of his hard work as a lifeguard and firefighting installer, he embarked on a venture that would revolutionize the world of finance. Indeed, this self-made man succeeded in forging a prestigious reputation for himself, to the point of being appointed chairman of the Nasdaq, the American Stock Exchange. What's more, Madoff was recognized as a true pioneer and major innovator in the field of electronic finance. And with good reason, thanks to his cutting-edge expertise and bold vision. He had set up a sophisticated electronic trading system, enabling fast, efficient transactions. He was a pioneer in the use of computers and algorithms to make informed investment decisions, replacing slower, less accurate traditional methods. His ability to skillfully navigate this emerging universe had earned him an unprecedented reputation, enabling him to attract a selective and diverse clientele. From wealthy individuals to corporate pension funds and renowned financial institutions, all were seduced by the promise of consistently high returns. All the more so as Madoff epitomized excellence in the world of finance and was respected for his ability to generate consistent profits. However, this enviable status concealed one of the greatest financial scandals of all time. Behind the computer screens and sophisticated algorithms lay a massive fraud that spanned years. Also known as a Ponzi scheme, after Charles Ponzi, it was a complex system involving the deliberate manipulation of investments and returns. Specifically, instead of investing his clients' funds as he claimed, Madoff actually used new investors' money to pay returns promised to existing investors. In this way, he created the illusion of consistently high returns, continually attracting new investors and maintaining the appearance of success. Madoff maintained this illusion by falsifying account statements, which showed alleged gains and exceptional performance. Investors were thus convinced of the legitimacy of their investments, especially as they regularly received statements showing substantial profits. In reality, however, no investments were made and returns were fictitious, allowing Bernard Madoff to enrich himself considerably. The sums embezzled in this scam enabled him to lead a life of luxury and opulence. His total fortune, estimated at $825 million, gave him access to extraordinary assets and privileges. His lavish acquisitions included a penthouse in Manhattan, one of New York's most prestigious and coveted neighborhoods, a magnificent villa in France, as well as yachts and multiple luxury cars. Unfortunately for Bernard Madoff, this lavish lifestyle proved short-lived, as the fraudulent system on which he relied eventually suffered an inevitable collapse. The financial crisis of 2008 was the turning point, and as investors panicked and demanded massive withdrawals, Madoff was unable to maintain his fraudulent scheme. Faced with the evidence, he finally confessed to his fraud and was arrested by the FBI on December 11, 2008. Madoff's downfall and the discovery of his fraud, however, had devastating consequences for his investors. In all, some 16,000 victims lost tens of billions of dollars entrusted to the American financier. Some were completely ruined. Reputable financial institutions, solid pension funds, flourishing companies, wealthy individuals. All were hit hard by Madoff's fraudulent manipulations. The ramifications of this fraud spread throughout the business world, sowing chaos and desolation. Imagine the dramatic scenes played out in the offices of these companies, where incredulous executives realized the extent of the betrayal. Emergency meetings, mass layoffs and desperate rescue plans were put in place in an attempt to limit the damage. Yet the damage was already considerable. Some companies faced resounding bankruptcies, leading to local economic destabilization. Entire sectors were shaken, supply chains broken and long-standing business relationships severed. The companies that survived had to show exceptional resilience to recover from abysmal financial losses. They had to reinvent their strategies, find new partners and regain the trust of investors and customers. It took years, even decades, to recover from the devastating consequences of the Madoff fraud. The economic repercussions were also felt worldwide. Financial markets were shaken, investors lost confidence and economic stability was undermined. The fallout spread far beyond the companies directly affected, affecting economic growth, employment and consumer confidence. Nevertheless, Bernie Madoff's fraud has since led to major reforms in the financial system. Regulators have tightened their controls, verification and audit procedures have been reviewed, transparency has been improved, investor protection mechanisms have been strengthened, and corporate governance practices have been reviewed. These reforms are aimed at preventing financial abuse, boosting investor confidence and ensuring more rigorous supervision of the financial sector. However, vigilance and caution remain essential to avoid future frauds. Meanwhile, the consequences of his actions caught up with Madoff. In 2009, he was finally convicted on multiple counts, including fraud, money laundering and obstruction of justice. The conviction marked the end of his life of luxury and deceit. Madoff was sentenced to an unprecedented 150 years in prison. Since then, Madoff's life behind bars has been very different from what he was used to. The privileges and riches that had surrounded him had evaporated. He found himself incarcerated in the federal prison in Butner, North Carolina, putting an end to his life of luxury and deceit. For a while, despite the bars that imprisoned him, Bernie Madoff never lost his entrepreneurial instincts. In fact, he found a surprising way to make a name for himself in 2017, even behind the walls of his cell. In this stifling prison atmosphere, Madoff discovered a lucrative market that no one had expected: trafficking in chocolate powder. With his boundless ingenuity, he teamed up with the prison bursar to buy in large quantities all the products of the famous Swiss Miss brand, a delicacy that was the envy of the inmates. But Madoff didn't sell these bags of chocolate powder at regular prices. No, he had found a way to sell them at a much higher price in the prison yard. The other inmates, eager for this sweet treat, were obliged to go through him to obtain some. And so, in the dark corners of the prison, the name Madoff resounded once again, but this time for an illicit and unusual trade. Trafficking in chocolate powder had become his new source of income, a way for him to maintain a certain influence even behind bars. This story, improbable as it may seem, once again revealed Madoff's boundless perseverance and determination. Even in prison, he had exploited an unexpected opportunity to reinvent himself as an underground trading baron, imposing his presence and control in a hostile environment. However, this new illicit enterprise was short-lived. The prison authorities put an end to Madoff's chocolate powder business, which had briefly enlivened monotonous prison life. Shortly afterwards, the chapter in Bernie Madoff's life came to a definitive end. On April 14, 2021, Madoff died in his cell, marking the end of a central figure in financial fraud and leaving behind a legacy marked by greed and betrayal. His death was a poignant reminder of the inevitable consequences faced by those who engage in fraudulent and deceptive practices. Moreover, Bernie Madoff's fascinating story captured the public's attention to such an extent that it was immortalized on screen. The film Wizard of Lies, directed by Barry Levinson, takes viewers deep into the Madoff affair, revealing the dark secrets and devastating consequences of this unprecedented financial fraud. The role of Bernie Madoff is masterfully played by renowned actor Robert De Niro. His captivating performance brings to life the complexity and duplicity of the character, transporting us into Madoff's Machiavellian mind. However, this story is more than just a cinematic production, as it resonates deeply with our collective conscience, exposing the moral and ethical abuses that can occur in this field. Indeed, the story of Bernie Madoff is much more than a captivating tale. It's an emblematic financial saga that has shaken the world. Its meteoric rise, audacious fraud and devastating aftermath have stirred shock and dismay across generations. Madoff epitomizes the dark side of greed and limitless gain, reminding us of the tragic excesses that can occur in the business world.